Hey everybody, KC here. I am back from all my travels. Happy to be home. And the thing I want to talk about today is, we made brief mention of it on Friday, the passing of Tony Bennett. And there were a lot of stories about Tony Bennett that came out after he passed away. But there were two stories that I thought were really, really interesting, and I just wanted to come back to. One was how, he served in World War II, and he was serving in Germany. He was seeing the horrors of the concentration camps, which was a formative experience for him. But the thing that happened, one of the things that happened to him while he was serving in Germany was that it was a Thanksgiving Day, and he was actually in Germany, and he bumped into somebody he went to high school with. And they spent the part of the day together, and it was just, it was so great in a foreign country in the middle of a war zone to see somebody they knew. It was just reassuring. And so Tony Bennett says to this guy, "Hey, you should come back. Let's have Thanksgiving together at the, with the rest of the troops." But they get back to where everybody is being served Thanksgiving dinner, and Bennett's superior officer basically rips him a new one and says, he's a disgrace to the uniform. He just totally eviscerates him. And the reason he did that is because Tony Bennett's friend from high school happened to be black. And that was a time of segregated troops. And the idea of them, sitting down and having dinner together was just foreign to this guy who was, Bennett later recalled, was something of an old-fashioned Southern redneck. And this actually informed a lot of what Tony Bennett thought about civil rights. And later in his life and career, he marched with Martin Luther King. He was very active in the civil rights movement because of what happened in Germany. By the way, side note, it's a really good argument for diversity. This is why, segregation of peoples for lots of reasons doesn't work. But if the people at the top don't understand that the people at the bottom, the people, in this case, quite literally on the front lines, are making the same sacrifices, are putting their lives on the line, are basically doing the same job as everybody else, they're incapable of making mature, nuanced, and absolutely fair judgments about what's going on. Again, I may be stretching a little bit, but I think that's a great argument for diversity. The other thing is something I didn't know about Tony Bennett, which is I'm sort of vaguely aware of it, was that during the late 70s and early 80s, he had a really severe drug problem and almost died. And he was basically out of money. The bank was ready to take his house. And he overdosed one night, almost died. And his wife at the time basically saved his life. And he realized at that point, he was basically a Vegas lounge singer. He was not the Tony Bennett we think of. And he decided at that moment he was going to change things up. He'd been trying to sing, Beatles songs and things like that. It wasn't working. It wasn't who he was. So he'd made a couple of decisions. Working with his sons, he said, first of all, I'm going to be true to who I am. And basically, I'm an interpreter of the Great American Songbook. So I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be true to that. And the second decision they made was that they were going to basically take him out of Vegas and have him play little lounges around the country, college towns, things like that. That one of the sons said, it wasn't that we were trying to make him cool, it was that we were trying to put him in cool places. And it totally worked, turned around his career. And one of the things he was able to do is, it took him 10 years, but he paid off all of his debts. He didn't declare bankruptcy. He didn't try to stiff his creditors. He paid off all of his creditors. And that is also a symbol of great American character, right? And, but the notion of being true to who you are, of being, of not trying to be something else because that's the flavor of the moment, but be the best of what you're being. That's a really important thing for businesses to do, right? If you don't know really who you are and you're willing to kind of move with the wind and follow the fashions of the moment, well, that can work, but only up to a point. It's important that you know who you are. So 2 great business lessons, I thought, from Tony Bennett. That's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.